Hello again. Back here with a different image this time. This is the comedy carpet on Blackpool Promenade. Nice low winter sun, lovely long shadows. One of the projects I'm doing at the moment is shadows. But I want to show you what you can do with a single layer filled with colour. We just go across here and click on this. We can see we've got a background layer open, which is our file that's on the screen. And if we go down to the bottom here, I'll just circle it. We can just click on that to add a new layer. Now, there's nothing in it at the moment, so we need to add some colour. If you double click on your black swatch down there, that'll bring up the colour picker, and you can go in with your mouse and choose any colour. A quick way of getting it in, you could use the paint bucket. What I tend to do is use the Alt or the Option key in a Mac and backspace together, and that will fill the layer up with the colour you've chosen. Quickly as that. Easiest thing to do then is to play around with the opacity of that layer. It's okay, it's not brilliant, it's adding a bit of colour to the black and white. We're going to look at blend modes though. One thing to do is play around with these blend modes. I keep saying it, that one of the best ways of learning something about blend modes is to scroll through them all and see what happens in each combination. So there we are in a colour blend mode. You can see what's happening. We go to an overlay, different effect again. Remember, we're running at 100% opacity in this as well. You can change the effect by dialing down the opacity of that colour layer. Let's go back to difference this time. Difference is a completely different thing. Look at that. It's adding what appears to be adding two colours rather than just the one colour up there. So look at your blend modes, scroll through them, have a play with them, and see what effects you can get. Make a note, a mental note of what you're doing. You might want to come back and use it again. So let's change the colour in this. Let's go down to a goldy, yellowy, orangey colour. There again, Alt or Option backspace, and that will fill your layer up. And seeing as we're in difference blend mode, you can see you're getting a nice, strong, graphic-looking image just from a colour and your original monochrome JPEG. Just to say again, this is an RGB JPEG. Don't try doing this with a grayscale. Nothing will happen. Okay. So what can we do? Well, let's have a look through what we've done already. So we put a fill layer over top of all, we changed the opacity, we looked at the different blending modes, and we changed the fill colour. And you can find that in your history. Don't forget to go to Window and click on History if you don't have your history option open in Photoshop. What I want to do now is double click. Let's just have a look on here first of all, sorry. Change that there. Change this layer, the background to a layer. Double click on the background and it will change it into a layer so you can move the stack around. So now we have the JPEG on top and the colour layer underneath. And if your scroll mouse is activated, you can scroll through the different blend modes and see what's going on. Colour and saturation not really working. There is no colour or saturation in that layer. Exclusion works well, and difference again works really well. If you're looking for that graphic look, then just by adding a single colour, you can achieve this look very, very simply. Let's go back to normal again. And if you double click in the blue area, it'll bring up the layer style box. And again, we're going to look at the blend diff at the bottom here. We've done this before if you follow the other tutorials. If we Alt or Option click on the sliders there, it'll split them and you'll start to get a really nice gradation. This is knocking out the black pixels to the mid-grey, and you can see there we've achieved something really strange, and it's just one layer over another layer. You're not having to learn any really tricky masking techniques or knockout techniques. We'll do the same for the lighter end. If we Alt Option click on there, and then you'll drag that along. Maybe not as successful, might work better with a different colour combination. If we click OK though, that's the effect we're going to get. What we can do, we can always go back in again. Because it's a sticky memory in this, we can actually change it. Again, while you're in here, don't forget, have a look at your blend modes. Try things out. It's important when you're learning things just to try things. You're not being destructive in this at all. You can see there where we've knocked the pixels out, the checkerboard design is behind it. If we double click in there again, you can see it's got a sticky memory in the layer style box. You can drag it back together again and the effect has disappeared. So again, look at your blend modes. Linear burn. Scroll through them. Just if you see something really works, make a note of it. Colour burn works well if you're looking for a very strong graphic feel to your images, and also difference. Really, two really interesting graphic feels. So we've just got the black and white over a colour layer, and it's just the blend mode which is doing all the work. Now don't forget, have a look at the opacity as well. play around with it. We'll look at fill in a later tutorial, but for the moment, play with the opacity. And if you go Control-I or Command-I, you will invert the black and white layer into a negative. So that's Control-I or Command-I, and that will turn your JPEG into a negative. Let's have a look at that. Switch that on, switch that off. So again, you get a slightly different feel to things. Don't be afraid of experimenting. As I said before, you can always go back in history to when you first loaded up this file, click on it and start all over again. Remember, we're not saved anything yet, or saved out anything, or flattened anything. Everything you're doing here at the moment is very flexible. So that's really one single colour layer with the black and white, and don't forget, it's got to be an RGB. Until the next time, of course, we'll look at tinting black and whites in more detail. Thanks for looking. See you next time.